No one is ever prepared for what comes out of Jungkook's mouth, especially when the phrase is pronounced in the midst of a seemingly ordinary atmosphere, relaxed, intimate, even as if unscripted. But when the phrase just slid from the lips of the golden magne, the world suddenly fell silent. Not because of the loudness of the voice, nor because of the dramaticity of the expression, but because the meaning contained in it is too deep, too frank, too painful. And even more surprising, Taehyung's response, who has been known as the most expressive and open figure among them, was cold, sharp, and silent. Netizens can only be transfixed. None of them could have guessed that the moment would be the beginning of the collective restlessness of the global fandom, and perhaps the harbinger of the end of something very meaningful. What exactly did Jungkook say? Why is that sentence so jarring? And why did Taehyung, who usually does not hesitate to show his feelings in public, choose to remain silent? Is this just a spontaneous moment, or is there a big secret that has been kept tightly behind the camera? It all started from a simple live broadcast conducted by Jungkook secretly. No announcements, no promotions. As is his custom these days, Jungkook prefers to broadcast on the spur of the moment, sometimes from his car, sometimes from a dimly lit room, sometimes from his mysterious private studio. But this time the atmosphere is different. He looks tired, not because of physical exertion, but rather emotionally tired. His eyes seemed to hold a story that he had not had time to write in the lyrics, and his expression was like holding something that had long wanted to be taken out. And then he said it. One sentence, just one, but it was enough to make the thousands of ARMY watching live instantly fall silent. Maybe I won't come back as the Jungkook you know. That's all. Nothing more, but also no less. The sentence struck like an earthquake that came without warning. Comments immediately exploded, but not with words like cute or appa sarangi as usual. This time, the comments were full of question marks, worries, and even, inevitably, panic. What does that mean? Will Jungkook retire? Is it sending a hidden message? Or is this a sign that something is wrong? Within minutes, the snippet of the video spread across social platforms. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and even usually lagging behind, exploded with the hashtags #Jungkook Kalamat Mysterious, #Not Our Jungkook, and #Taekook Ingame. But an even bigger explosion occurred a few hours later when Taehyung uploaded a story on his personal account. A photo of the night sky with a single sentence that made things feel much more complicated. Sometimes silence is the most painful response. Netizens also immediately connect dots that are not necessarily related. But as usual, ARMY is no ordinary fandom. They began digging through old archives, broadcast recordings, interviews, to small moments that were captured in Jungkook and Taehyung's expressions or gestures. All seek one thing, the truth. But like tangled threads that have been silenced for too long, the more they pull, the more things come to the surface. Some speculated that Jungkook's sentence was a form of protest, that he is tired of being an idol who is constantly expected to be perfect. Others believe it was part of a personal decision he had been planning for a long time, perhaps leaving the entertainment industry, or at least staying out of the spotlight for an indefinite period of time. But the wildest, most heartbreaking, and most controversial theories come from those who follow Taehyung and Jungkook's relationship more closely than anyone else at a well-known fansite account, which claims to have followed the duo since their debut, posted a long thread with the caption, "What we thought was beautiful turns out to be painful." The thread contains evidence of how the relationship appears to have changed over the past year. Starting from the lack of interaction in front of the public, the rarity of shared posts, to live moments that seem awkward. And what is most striking, both once disappeared from the spotlight for almost 2 months, without explanation. Many at the time thought they were focusing on their individual projects. But now that Jungkook's sentence and Taehyung's response have emerged, all theories feel plausible, that something has happened. Something too big to say, but too painful to hide. Even a former staffer from their agency, who was not named for security reasons, said in an anonymous interview that Jungkook and Taehyung's relationship had indeed been under tension since the middle of last year. He mentioned that there is a very significant difference in vision between the two. One wants to continue working as a free artist, the other wants to live a quieter, simpler life, he said. And those differences, if not put together, can ruin everything. But not everyone believes in the narrative. Many also believe that this is all just Jungkook's way of preparing fans for something bigger. Maybe a new album, maybe a change of image, or maybe an announcement that will change the whole course of his life. But still, that line, "I'm not coming back as the Jungkook you know," is still too jarring to be considered a promotional gimmick. A few days after the incident, the mood on social media still has not subsided. Netizens continued to speculate. Analysis content popping up. Celebrity psychologists spoke up. Even the mainstream media in Korea and abroad also highlighted this phenomenon. But all eyes remain on two things: Jungkook and Taehyung. And like igniting embers that have not yet been completely extinguished, their agency has instead released an even more disconcerting statement. The statement was brief, formal, and felt hollow. Jungkook is currently undergoing a period of rest that has been planned since the beginning of the year. There is no official activity that he will lead in the near future. We ask for understanding from the fans. No further explanation. There is no clarification about the sentence. There was no response to Taehyung's post. And so the mystery deepens. More and more questions arise, and fewer answers are available. However, some netizens began to see Jungkook's sentence from a different point of view. A Korean author who is known for actively analyzing the psychological phenomena of celebrities wrote in his personal column, "Jungkook's sentence is the final form of an identity crisis that he may have felt for a long time. It is no longer a 15-year-old child who debuts under the spotlight. He is now a grown man carrying the burden of millions of expectations. And perhaps, for the first time in his life, he wanted to know himself without the name Jungkook." This sentence touched many hearts. The fans began to reflect back on the meaning of the word idol. Are they too demanding? Has their love been so hard? Or do they just want to keep their beloved version of Jungkook, not realizing that the man has grown, changed, and maybe tired? And amid all this chaos, one big question remains hanging. What exactly happened between Jungkook and Taehyung? Why did Taehyung respond in such a way? Does his silence harbor anger? Disappointment? Or is it just sadness? If we look more closely, Taehyung's sentence, "Sometimes silence is the most painful answer," could be interpreted as a final form of communication. Perhaps, between the two there has been a conversation that we do not know about. A painful conversation. Conversations that lead to silence. And in that silence, there are 1,000 meanings that cannot be said. The army is now divided into two: those who choose to accept and support whatever Jungkook decides, and those who are not ready to let go of the person who has been a part of their lives. But one thing's for sure: that sentence and Taehyung's silence